Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, are the playoffs out of reach for the Cowboys after losing to the Eagles? Plus reaction to the Redskins blowing a late lead against the Saints. And did Tom Brady and the Patriots prove they're the NFL's best team over the weekend? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. A rough night for the Cowboys. They were blown out 37-9 at home by the Eagles. Carson Wentz threw 2 touchdown passes as Philly won their 8th straight. Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions and had a fumble return for a touchdown. Dallas was playing without Sean Lee, Tyronn Smith, and Ezekiel Elliott. But Dak didn't make any excuses. Let's take a listen.
Is it as simple as just not having Zeke and Tyronn?
What do you mean?
The offensive struggles. I mean, is that?
Nah, not at all. I mean, it's no excuses. We're not saying injuries or any of that's bothering us. I mean, as I said, we just got to execute plays better. We're not saying it's the reason we're not winning is because of those guys. We believe in ourselves and the guys we put out there.
The obvious common thing of the last 2 weeks is how we played in the first half and how we played in the second half. And so that's actually the most current thing on my mind is how they got out in Philadelphia and really took it to us in the second half.
You saying the coaches are not making enough adjustments at halftime?
I didn't say that at all.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed saying that. Did I say that?
Well, you said about the adjustments at halftime.
No, I didn't. I just said
the difference in the way the team is
what
playing.
I said was that we're just not playing good in the last 2 games. The common thing that comes to my mind real quick, Clarence, is that for whatever the reason, we're getting beat pretty good in the second half.
Shannon, what happened?
God, the Eagles happened. That's what happened.
Wow.
Carson walk it to him Wentz.
Wow.
Oh, he's not accurate. Oh, no.
Shocking revelation.
Skip. No. I did not ask you anything. I'm reclaiming my time. I need 15 more seconds. When I ask you something, you will be allowed to respond.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's not your turn, not even close to being your turn. Why can't I have a moment? I don't get very many of these moments, Skip. Let me have my time to shine. You always trying to shade me, Skip, and it's so unfair.
I always do.
How is Ernestine doing?
Your clock is running.
Skip, this is what happened. The Eagles are as good as advertised. Their record indicate they're 9-1. They played like a 9-1 football team, especially in the second half. There's a reoccurring theme that old Jerry said. I want to know why we not getting any points in the second half. But Dak Prescott is finally getting to realize this what really should be his rookie year. Because most rookie quarterbacks don't get to inherit the best offensive line in football, the second best running back in football. That's not normally what happens. You see what happens, Skip, when there's no Zeke, no left tackle? He looks very, very average. 9 points. And I knew this was going to happen. Everybody was sending me what Skip said. Oh, no Sean Lee. Let me tell you something. They could have had Bruce Lee, Michelle Lee, Spike Lee, General Robert E. Lee.
How long did you work on those?
No, Skip, why you do me like this?
You must have laid awake trying to think those up.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Skip. All I said is Carson Wentz is the real deal. Everybody's been trying to tell you Carson is the real deal. When Dak had a perfect situation. That was utopia. You don't get any better than that. The 3 best offensive linemen in football, an all-pro running back. And that's what he had. Now, all of a sudden, you remove that hedge. And guess what, Skip? You love quarterback ratings. Can you, if you don't mind me asking, what was Dak's quarterback rating last night?
We doing passer rating or QBR?
The one you used, QBR.
QBR. What'd your research say?
No, don't worry.
I don't know. Go ahead. Tell me what it was.
11.5.
0.5.
Of all the qualifying quarterbacks, only one quarterback playing yesterday had a worse QBR than one Dak Prescott.
Nathan.
That was
Peterman.
Deshaun Kaiser. Nathan Peterman didn't have enough. He didn't have enough qualifying attempts. But your guy
He did. He had a QBR.
No, he didn't.
This was .03.
Whoa.
By far the worst. It was Joe Flacco-esque.
Skip, no. This ain't about Peterman. This is not about anybody. This is about the Dallas Cowboys. But you quit heat. You were quick. Oh, the Broncos going to win the West. Oh, the Giants are going to win the East. What about the fact that I told you the Cowboys wouldn't make the playoffs? You won't mention that.
Did you predict Sean Lee was going to get hurt and Tyronn Smith was going to get hurt and that Zeke was going to get suspended at this point?
Yes.
I don't think you predicted any of the above.
No. You said Zeke was going to play the entire season. I said Zeke was serving that suspension this year.
You said to start the year, but go ahead. It's okay.
You can deal with semantics. But how about this?
Semantics.
How about
Just
this here?
Either or.
Okay, how about this? How many seasons have Sean Lee not missed a game?
He didn't miss one last year.
So that was his first year in the NFL?
No, he's been-
Yeah, so he's been missing games.
Did you predict he was going to get hurt?
And if I
You did not.
did I predict that the Giants would fall apart? See, you want to talk about did I predict that? I predicted the Cowboys wouldn't make the playoffs. That's what I did predict.
Joy, when is his time up?
Okay,
It seems
what about
like the
that?
clock
I'm
is
gonna let you
just
go.
running and running and running,
okay, I'm
just
just-
the way the
well,
Eagles ran the clock in the second half.
I got one more thing.
You know, you're ball controlling
No,
just
no,
the way
no.
Pennsylvania did.
Don't do that.
Huh?
Don't you dare say that about him.
Wow. Did
With
you
that
see how many yards rushing the Eagles had in the second half? Go ahead.
Hold on, Skip. You better do something. You better do something about your wide receiver getting 14 targets
Yeah.
and averaging 8 yards a catch.
I would like
That's
to
what
do
you-
something.
That's what you need. That's what
Did
you
I
need
not
to worry
first
about.
guess that like 2 months ago? Did I not first guess
Hold on.
it? I think I've been saying it all year, and you keep saying, why are you saying that about Des Bryant?
no.
I'm saying exactly the same thing I said from week one. Go ahead.
I was back last year. But go ahead, Skip. I want to take because I want you to go because I want to talk about. I got something else coming up, but I want you to go
Are
ahead.
you done?
I'm done. I'm done right now.
Okay. I predicted the Eagles would win easily last night. I predicted that last Thursday because we did not have a show on Friday, and they did win very easily, even more easily than I thought they would. But I'm going to reiterate what I also said last Thursday and last 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. If the Dallas Cowboys had Sean Lee and Tyronn Smith and Ezekiel Elliott last night, they would have won that game. And if they had the same team going forward that they had against the Kansas City Chiefs at home going back now 3 weeks ago, they would win the NFC East as I predicted they would. But obviously, none of those three players were able to play last night. And I'm going to say it right up front. What happened to Joy's question? Dak Prescott finally had a bad game. I said it, and I'll say it multiple times throughout this show. He had a terrible game. But
about
guess
last week?
what? He had the first bad game of his entire career. Dak Prescott had started 26 straight games, including game one of his rookie year, without having a single bad game. And last night, he had a bad game. There, I said it. And yet, he got too desperate and started forcing passes to number 88 that just blew my mind because I've told you Des Bryant is a shadow of his former self. I don't even know who he is anymore, and it just tore my heart out that Dak Prescott resorted to forcing pass after pass after pass to the shadow of himself that was number 88. As you point out, 14 times you try to force it over there to that guy. I guess because he's in single coverage against Ronald Darby. And guess what happened once again? As you've said all along, any sort of physical cornerback, and Ronald Darby is really good. He's 195 pounds, but he plays big, strong, big boy football. And he was all over Des Bryant and just took him out of the game. So Des has 14 targets, and what's he catch? He catches 8 balls for, they're all fairly meaningless. I can't even remember one of them, for a grand total of 63 forgettable yards that had 0 touchdowns attached to those yards and 0 impact on the football game. What are you doing? I don't know.
Before you go any further, what did he catch? All slant or in-breaking routes?
Yeah. They're really complex. You know? and he caught several of them in the second half after the game was completely out of control. And Bryce Butler had 2 targets last night. I keep saying every week, throw it to Bryce Butler. He can get behind people. He can actually run a little bit. And he's just as big as Dez is. 2 targets, 2 catches. Well, who cares, right?
Hold on, what did Jason Witten do?
Well, you can outrun Jason Witten. That's what you've been telling me, right?
What about Cole Beasley?
Yeah. Well, they've taken Cole Beasley. Everybody just doubles Cole Beasley and says, you can't have him anymore.
Well,
He's
they,
your
hold
security
on,
blanket.
but
Sorry.
nobody was doubling him on the sideline when Dak, he had the first down and Dak threw it in the first row.
Yeah.
Nobody was doubling then.
Yeah, and he threw another one right on the money to Cole Beasley. Remember that? And the cornerback made a hellacious good play.
No, I'm talking about the one he was wide open and Dak overthrew it.
I just told you he had a bad game. But it all comes back to Tyronn Smith, and I don't have time to go into all the second level stats about what Tyronn Smith means to not only pass protection, but to the run game. He is the driving force of the offensive line. And when you take him away, you have taken a whole lot away. And once again, Dak was under fire from the start, from the left, from his blind side, and from his front side, because Lyle Collins had his hands full over on the front side.
Graham.
Well, Brandon Graham. Here he comes, and here he goes. And he's coming. They're all just they're just flying all over Dak. And Dak got a little gun shy, as quarterbacks tend to do when they're under that much fire. I've seen Tom Brady get gun shy.
No, I ain't never seen Tom. No, don't do that. Don't put that on Tom. Oh, Tom, terrific.
A lot of people have.
No, nobody's seen it.
So now we get back to the defensive side of the ball. I called this, and I called it, and I called it again, because this was same song, fourth verse. The fourth verse, the fourth game without Sean Lee. And what have we seen again and again and again? Right on schedule. I told you this would be a close game last night for a half, and then the roof would fall in on the Dallas defense. I was open, but the sides are over there.
Oh,
they just fell in on the Dallas defense. So let's just reiterate what's happened with no Sean Lee in the lineup. They were up 24-16, the Cowboys were, over the Rams, and they lost the second half 19-6. They were up 21-12 at halftime over Aaron Rodgers at Jerry World. They lost the second half 23-10. They were down only 10-7 to Matt Ryan at Atlanta. They lost the second half 17-0. No Sean Lee, no Sean Lee, no Sean Lee. Right. And then last night, they're up 9-7 at half, and they lose the second half 30-0.
30?
The defense just loses heart. It loses its way. It loses hope. Without its quarterback and driving force, a Sean Lee, who I continue to say is the single most underrated defensive player in the National Football League, especially given how much he means to this defense. No Sean Lee, no hope. It's happened right on schedule 4 straight times. Do you realize with no Sean Lee for 4 games, guess what the second half aggregate score is for the 4 games he's missed? Opponents 89, Cowboys 16. Think about that. This is a good team, pretty good football team. But you take away Sean Lee from the defense, score of the 4 games without Sean Lee, 89-16 in favor of the opponents. That is staggering to me. Does that not close the case? He's the most underrated defensive player in football?
If you don't mind, if you don't mind me asking, is Carson Wentz left tackle? Is he injured?
Yeah, but they had one ready to step right in. Did anybody? You know what? That offensive line for the Eagles last night with Big V at left tackle, he might be even better than Peters was. I'm serious. They stoned the Cowboys pass rush. Did they really lay a hand on Pennsylvania?
When Lane Johnson missed those 10 games.
Big V stepped right in.
No.
He's a player, man.
The sacks against him went up. His completion percentage went down. His interception ratio went up. His turnover ratio went up. No, all you said was Dak is so much better than Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
If Dak is the guy that you said, because I see Tom Brady does it all the time. I see all Aaron Rodgers. I see Drew Brees, Russell Wilson. If he's that guy that you said he is, now all of a sudden, the Cowboys defense has always been trash. Their offense is their defense. When they can run the ball, control the clock, keep that defense off the field, they can have some success.
Well,
but when
the defense looked really good at San Francisco, at Washington, against Kansas City.
San Francisco?
Yeah.
They won 1 game.
Guess what? They scored 39 against the Rams. Remember that?
They won 1 game. Hold on, let me ask you a question. If you don't mind me asking, since they've started 5-0, how many games have the Chiefs won since then?
I don't know.
No, you know.
Researcher.
Yeah, he told me they won 1.
Okay.
So don't do that.
So back to the first half, and the guy you say should be running away with the MVP.
He ain't running away with it, but he got it.
Oh, he got it. Well, Wentz in a lifetime in the first half went 0 for 6 on 3rd down.
Okay.
Against that, what would you just call the defense? Help me out. Was it garbage?
Yeah, it's
garbage.
trash.
So against the trash defense, Carson Wentz in a lifetime went 0 for 6 on 3rd down and completed a grand total of 7 out of 18 passes for a grand super total of 80 yards in the first half and managed 7 points on the opening drive. Wow. You know, that didn't look MVP-like. And here's, as bad as Dak was, I thought Dak slightly outplayed Wentz in a lifetime in the first half. That is just shameful for Wentz in a lifetime.
First of all, I did not like the game plan that Doug Peterson called in the first half.
Problem.
Yeah, but you look at the second half. Yep. And if you don't mind me, Skip, because everybody talks about, Dak is so much more accurate than Wentz. Well, walk it to him, Wentz put on a display of arm talent last night. DJ, can you cue that for me right quick? Skip, there are some plays right there. The second-year quarterback. This man is a second-year quarterback from North Dakota. Watch this, Skip. Take a look at your monitor right quick. Now this is what we
I
talk.
watched the game.
No, don't do that, Skip.
I don't
Look
need
at
to
that. Look at that walking to it. That's a long handoff, Skip. That's a 17-yard handoff.
So help me out
Hold on,
again.
Skip. No, it's my turn.
What did you just call the Cowboy defense? What did you call them? Shannon Sharpe just called this defense.
Look at
now
this.
he's raving
Carson.
about Wentz in a lifetime.
Walking to it, dart. That's a
The
dart.
defense is trash, and I will give you that in the second half of every game without Sean Lee. It is absolute trash. And guess what? I thought the Cowboy defense quit last night in the second half. Quit tackling. Listen to this. Guess how many yards rushing Philadelphia had in the second half alone? In the second half alone. Pennsylvania's team rushed for 180 yards.
Why are you talking over my highlight? Why are you talking over my highlight?
Nobody cares.
Why you doing
it's
me
old
over?
news.
Skip.
It's against trash defense. Who cares?
No,
it's
don't do that.
garbage time. It's straight garbage time in the
That's
second
your
half.
team,
No,
the Dallas
I know
Cowboys.
it, but I've shown you. I called it. I first guessed it going in. I said,
No.
the
You try to lay some
ceiling
of that
will fall.
toxicity.
No.
What you try to do is take some of that toxicity. But you also said you're glad, you hate to say this, but you're glad Zeke got suspended because now Dak is going to show the world what he's really about. He's really showing us.
Yeah, but I didn't know Tyronn Smith was going to pull his groin. And by the way, I had to watch Tyronn Smith. They had a quick clip of him on NBC before the game. He's moving around, going through his drills before the game. He looked like he was moving okay. And I said, well, try. Just try to play, Tyronn.
Can I ask you a question? Did you see anybody in front of him?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he's saving himself for Thursday, which now doesn't even matter anymore.
So he gonna get. So that means he get Melvin Ingram or Bosa.
That's going to be a big problem.
It's gonna be a big. Hold on, Skip. You
problem.
keep talking about Tyron Smith.
So let me finish about the second half when Wentz in a lifetime had such a quote-unquote great half. Do you realize that in the first half he went 0 for 6 on third down? He went 5 for 8 on third down because the defense rolled over and played dead in the second half. He went 7 out of 9 throws in the second half, 180 yards rushing. It's a nightmare of what happens because the defense loses heart without its quarterback.
You know what happened, Skip?
Wow.
You know Jason.
How about time of possession, 19-11 in the second half?
Let me tell you what happened. Jason Garrett went in there at halftime, and he said, guys, we can't play any worse than what we played in the first half, and we got the lead. Let's go out there and show them what we're about.
I mean, what really bothered me about Wentz in a lifetime at the end of the first half, did you see him almost walk that throw to Anthony Brown at the end of the first half? I don't know. Do we have that? I don't know. Maybe we have that.
Do we have it?
Remember, they hit him one time in the pocket.
Joy.
They hit Anthony Brown.
Are you calling for the
Remember
video?
this?
Are you calling for the video?
Look, the ball flutters. Anthony, no. Is that not a pick six?
He's Anthony Brown.
He would have walked it in.
You can see like that's Pat Peterson.
Walked it in. He's a second-year player. So last night, my defense starts 2 rookies and a second-year player, and Anthony Brown, and that happened.
Hold on.
Anthony!
Skip!
Anthony, where are you?
Hold on. So when did you...
What was he doing? He's like falling down before the ball.
Hold on for a
It was such a bad throw that it even fooled Anthony Brown.
Hold on.
He couldn't get his feet
Just for a second. They got rid of their entire... Hold on, Skip. They got rid of their entire secondary.
They did. And I didn't like it. Did I not first guess it?
Yeah, but...
Go sign Revis. Go sign Antonio Cromartie.
But you talk about a Woozier. You talk about Lewis.
You talk about hamstring. Everybody's got a pulled hamstring.
But you talk about all these guys.
Everybody does.
But let me ask you a question.
You know what? It's not meant to be. You know how some years the injury gods decree, let there be Philadelphia. No, they're great.
You're not very
you saw
good.
What they did to these teams
without that eating machine. Because Skip, think about this here. Alfred Morris had 17.
The eating machine who had 8 yards on 9 carries at Denver. Against that defense.
Skip, this is what we know. Even though he had 9 carries and 8 yards, when Ezekiel Elliott left the starting lineup, he was number 3 in rushing with 753 yards. Alfred Morris last night had 17 for 91. If that's Zeke Elliott, that 17 would be 135 and a touchdown. Zeke Elliott is special, and I keep telling you.
I don't know about that without Tyronn Smith, because if I show you the stats, and I don't have time to get into them, second level running the ball stats, it starts with the left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, well, hold on. But you don't make any of these concessions when Aaron Rodgers was playing without his 2 starters. When Russell Wilson played.
We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles.
But you keep making excuses.
Once in a lifetime.
Why won't you make excuses? Kirk Cousins went to Seattle with 4 starters missing on the offensive line.
We're going to talk about Kirk Cousins next.
Hey, no,
I can't wait
I
for
want to
that.
talk about Dak right now. You tell me Dak does not throw interceptions. Did he throw an interception in the end zone?
I just said he had a bad game.
No.
First bad game he's had in 27
I'm not asking, Skip.
27
I'm not asking about no bad game. Did he throw an interception?
Bad game.
So 3 interceptions and a fumble.
Terrible game.
Carson Wentz.
Terrible game. Not meant to be. Waiting till next year.
Everybody
Did I not tell you that last Thursday? I said it was over. Congratulations, Philadelphia.
They
should throw the parade.
Fly, Eagles,
they
fly.
won. Did I not call it before the game? I said the NFC East is over. I said it was over. Didn't I say that last week?
How did it make you feel, Skip, to watch the defense that Jimmy Johnson made famous? That wide nine, but they call it the cowboy front. I say, sports, turn them loose. Turn them loose.
It made me feel like, oh, I predicted this.
Hey, I
called it.
I was like, Jason Garrett, throw in the towel. Throw in the damn towel, Jason.
Well, celebrate all you want against that trash defense.
No,
it's impressive.
You still got it.
You thought it was a close game. I said they'll win convincingly.
I don't
So actually, you had a right-wrong prediction.
What
and you're celebrating.
What I had on the back, on the woods right quick, Joy. Was yesterday a good day for your boy, Shay Joy?
Wow.
Ain't no breakfast like a Shay Sharpe breakfast, because a Shay Sharpe breakfast don't stop.
No mercy.
This is Shannon Sharpe, and before the show moves along, a quick word about Home Depot and Husky Tools. They say in life there are no guarantees. Well, I'm here to tell you there just might be one exception. In 1924, Husky started making things for people who make things, and they did it with common sense. That meant adding function, never frills, and making tools that stood the test of time. 93 years later, Husky is still making quality-crafted, durable tools, and Husky stands by their hand tools for life, so they gave their hand tools a lifetime warranty. Like the Husky Ratchet, with a 100-position ratcheting design and a 10% longer handle than standard ratchets, or the virtually unbreakable Husky Flashlight with the ability to withstand a 30-foot drop, both guaranteed for a lifetime, built so you won't need it. Now that's a pretty sure thing, and to Husky, that's common sense. Husky, common sense tools since 1924, with hand tools guaranteed for a lifetime, found only at the Home Depot.
No mercy.
The Redskins blew a 15-point lead with under 3 minutes left yesterday and lost in overtime to the Saints. Drew Brees threw 2 late touchdown passes to tie the game. It was the 8th straight win for New Orleans, while the Redskins fell to 4-6. Let's take a listen to Jay Gruden after the game.
It's terrible. I feel bad for the players. They laid it all on the line. Came out to a hostile environment against a team that's won 7 in a row, and but we don't get anything for close. It stings. It's going to sting a lot of people. It stings everybody involved with the Washington Redskins. That's for sure. What matters is walking out here with the win or a loss, and a loss is not very fun, but got to bounce back.
Shannon, who's most to blame for the Redskins' collapse?
You mean the Washington Falcons? I'm sorry, Joy. that slipped out. The defense. I don't know what more you can ask of Kirk Cousins. He's 22 of 32, 322, 3 touchdowns, no turnover. Had the second or highest third QBR on today. 15-point lead with 3 minutes or less in the ball game. And the defense give up drives of 75 and 87. Brees was 11 for 11 on his last 2 drives. The Washington defense allowed 532 yards. Now, Joy, if you go back with me to the beginning of the season, the New England Patriots gave up 538 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Not one word was uttered about Tom Brady. They said how bad the defense played. Now,
that's a lot.
Whoa,
that's ridiculous. Everybody talked about how bad he was in the fourth quarter. Not one word? Words were uttered right over here.
Hey, Skip.
What?
Skip. At the beginning of the season, Coach Belichick defense gave up 538 yards. That was the most yard hit had ever surrendered. And everybody was talking about how porous they were. Kirk Cousins plays flawless. The defense gives up 2 drives of over 150 total yards and 2 final drives, 15-point lead, and now Kirk Cousins. I get it. Now, this is what Skip's going to do. I know what he's going to do.
He doesn't know.
He's going to talk about the intentional grounding. I didn't have the sound up, but when he threw the ball away, I already knew what he did. He had a run play called on. And what he saw, they was coming with a run blitz. The receivers thought it was a run too. They didn't get the check. And so they lost into the middle. Kurt should have come out better. He should have just killed the ball into the ground. That was miscommunication on the sideline in Kirk Cousins. I understand these things. But if you think that was the play that lost them the game and not giving up a drive of 87, a drive of 75, in the final 2 drives, and a 2-point conversion, I think that had more to do with than Kirk Cousins. Now, mind you, Kirk Cousins scored 31 points on the number 2 scoring defense and had only given up 32 points in the last 3 games. But Kirk Cousins hung 31 on them without Terrell Pryor, without Jordan Reed, and his starting center. But he doesn't make excuses. They lost. But he did, hey.
That it?
Take it away.
Thank you very much. Now, back to Kirk Cousins. Obviously, New Orleans has done that to a lot of people in that building. Drew Brees especially has come back on a lot of people. And when you say Kirk Cousins put up big numbers, remember, Marshawn Lattimore has been the best rookie on the field this year in the National Football League. And he went out on the first series and could not come back because he turned his ankle. So the defense suddenly reverted back to what you had called early in the year historically bad. So it's easy to throw a party in New Orleans, a Mardi Gras party on that defense without Marshawn Lattimore. Now, back to Kirk Cousins again. This was so vintage Kirk Cousins. He can do so much right, and when you least need him to, so much wrong, because he doesn't have the intangibles to be a winning franchise quarterback. He makes lots of plays, but will always invariably fail to make the play. This was so classic vintage Kirk Cousins. This was Kirk Cousins coming out with 1:05 left in the game. It's 31 all. And you got a chance to go down and right the wrong of your defense that has given up the lead of 31-16.
Oh, so they did give up a lead, though, right?
No, they gave up the lead.
15-point lead, right?
Drew Brees, who's done it to a lot of people in that building, getting that crowd behind him. So 1:05's left. You got it 1st and 10 at your 25, and you hit Jamison Crowder not once or twice, but 3 straight times. You go 12 yards, 10 yards, 19 yards, and all of a sudden you are in field goal business. You got it 1st and 10. 34-yard line of the Saints with 31 seconds left. That kid, Nick Rose, that they opted to keep over Mike Nugent, who's now the Cowboy kicker, he's got a big leg, the kid out of Highland Park High School in Dallas, Texas, and he can make them indoors from 52 yards. So if you would just shut it down right there and said, let's trot Nick Rose onto the field, I think you got a real good shot at winning the football game. But right on schedule, what does Kirk Cousins do? You described it. He sees a blitz. He audibles out of it, and he just stands up and throws it out of bounds. How many years has Kirk Cousins been the starter in Washington? Are we into the 4th year now?
Yeah.
Wow, a 4th-year starter that you're starting to you're saying you should pay what, $100 million guaranteed to? You're saying it's a done deal. You got to sign him for 5 years. They don't make that kind of play at that moment in a game that's sitting on a silver platter for you to win. Because even if you go ahead and run a run play versus the run defense, even if it gets stoned and it goes nowhere for 0 yards, you're still in field goal range. And Kirk Cousins just stands up and throws it out of bounds. It's just dumb. And it's classic Kirk Cousins because he had the 2nd best QBR yesterday in all of the National Football League.
But here's the thing, Skip. His instincts tell him run blitz, to check out of it.
Okay,
That's
but you
his
can't just stand up and throw it to nobody because it's intentional grounding.
That he said, and it was listen to the conversation that it was. He said he should throw it there. The sideline was telling him to throw it away. Miscommunication. He would have come out better. He did the right thing by audibling out of the blitz. But what he should have did, Skip, was kill the ball into the dirt. And now it's 2nd and 10. He didn't.
You could have just clocked it and thrown it at your own feet.
That's what I'm saying. Just kill the ball.
Instead, it's a 10-second runoff, and instead, the clock is not going to start with the next snap. It's going to start with the whistle ready for play.
Right.
So the clock is running, and Kirk Cousins is lost. And now he's lost 10, so it's 2nd and 20, all the way back at the 44. And he drops back to pass, and they do a blindside safety blitz.
Right.
And he gets clocked, and ball's loose, and regulation is over, and you're going to overtime. Right. You just can't do that. So it's obviously on Kirk Cousins' shoulders because if you're that guy, if you're going to be the highest paid quarterback in all of football, you can't make that boneheaded play.
But here's the thing, Skip. This is how sports work. Being the highest paid doesn't mean you're the best. It means you're up at the time. You are a free agent. And when, you think Matthew Stafford's going to be the highest paid quarterback? He just happened to be the next guy in line. But the next guy after him is going to make more money than him. That's the biggest misconception. You make the most, therefore you are the best. Let me ask you this, Skip. If Kirk Cousins was in Denver, if Kirk Cousins was in Jacksonville, would they be considered a serious Super Bowl threat?
Yeah, and when they least would expect it, he would bite them in the behind because
Well,
he'd do something boneheaded.
Oh, kind of like what Dak did yesterday? Because it's 2 weeks in a row, Dak has lost the ball out of his hand from the blind side.
Well, it wasn't at the end of the game with the game on the line. This was game on the line. What happened in Dallas last year? He threw on Thanksgiving Day. We're almost a year through the calendar. 449 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but he goes 2 for 5 in the red zone. Dak goes 4 for 4, and it's 31-26 Dallas. Can you winning intangibles, losing intangibles?
Can you tell me about the Redskins, Washington's defense? Again, what's the recurring theme? Dak was 4-4 in the red zone. Yesterday, 535 yards. At what point in time? At some point in time, Skip, because we saw Aaron Rodgers win an MVP, go 15-1 with the 32nd ranked defense, and get to the playoffs and lose, because guess what happens? If that guy ever has an off day, that defense won't carry them. Skip, look, you can criticize a lot of things, but it's hard for they're not, put it like, I'm going to give it to you like this in lay terms. There's not 10 quarterbacks currently playing right now that I would take over Kirk Cousins.
Good. I'll take Matthew Stafford over Kirk Cousins any day. And I am so hoping, as I've said many times on the show, that the Washington Redskins feel trapped into giving him a 5-year deal for $150 million.
And the Eagles in Washington are saying the same thing. We hope Dak is there because this is what we know.
Okay.
As long as Zeke Elliott.
This is about Kirk. Or as I call him, Kirk Cousins.
You call it whatever
his GM called him.
No. Skip, stop.
You're on this bandwagon. I'm not. I've been off it from the start.
That's okay. All I know is the dude is 7th in QBR. He has 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Yep.
He's playing. Think about it, Skip. The majority of his season, he lost his 2 best receivers last year. Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson. Jordan Reed, you never know. Flip a coin, he might be in the lineup. Heads, he's in the lineup. Tails, he's out. Well, 75% of the time, he's been out of the lineup. He goes to Seattle without 4 starting offensive linemen. He went again yesterday without his starting center and his 2 receivers. He still found a way to hang 31 on a team that only given up 32.
And he found a way to lose. And now the Washington Redskins are 4-6, and a year ago they were 8-7-1, and they're going to miss the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. But give him the most money, please, Washington. Give him the most money.
But this is what I don't understand. Kirk Cousins get blamed for a defense that gives up 535, but Brady somehow is not culpable for a defense that gave up 538. I'm confused.
What are you talking about? He was culpable that night. He was terrible in the fourth. It's the worst fourth quarter he's ever played. Tom Brady, at home especially, that was the worst he's ever played.
No, everybody was talking about the defense because it was historically bad because they went up even though they won.
It's still historically bad.
No, they gave up 538, the most in the Belichick area, and then they gave up 400 plus the following week to New Orleans. And everybody was talking about, well, Tom Brady, how long can Tom Brady just score? They've corrected that. But Tom Brady, they did not heap no culpability on Tom Brady like what you and some are trying to do with Cousins.
He's Kirk Cousins.
What that got to do with anything?
He routinely does this again and again and again, but you're driving that bandwagon, you've driven it right into a corner, and you're stuck in the corner.
This is what we know. All I know about Dak Prescott is that he ain't looking too well without a starting offensive lineman and his running back. So get back to me.
One bad game in 27 starts.
Get back to me.
Interesting.
How did he play? The week before in Atlanta?
I thought he played really well.
Now, I ain't asking what you thought. What did the numbers say?
He got sacked 8 times, and it should have been 12.
Oh, and how many fumbles? Because all I know,
one.
In the past 2 weeks, this is what we know: 6 turnovers at the hand of Dak Prescott. That's fact.
I thought he played really well at Atlanta. He played really poorly last night.
If you think a guy turning the ball over 6 times in 3 games is playing well, have at it.
You betting on Kirk Cousins long term? Really? Still?
I'm betting on Carson Wentz over Dak Prescott.
Okay. All right.
Really?
I'll take that bet any day.
We
got a long ways to go.
And you be broke.
Yeah. I saw deer in headlights in the first half from Pennsylvania.
Well, what'd you see? You saw a deer that wouldn't even cross the road for Dak Prescott.
I saw a deer
at least Carson was in the road.
Run over.
At least Carson was in the road and seeing the headlight. Your guy wouldn't even cross the road. Good old grass on the other side, Joy.
Dak never saw the headlights.
Good old light.
Good old blind side.
He could be on the other side just eating that old good old tall green grass. He's scared to cross the road. Why, Skip? He's scared.
Oh, I think he was the opposite of scared.
I can't tell. Throwing the ball to everybody except his guy.
Running across the road.
He completed almost as many passes to Philly that he did to his own guy. Hold up, Skip. I'm trying to figure this out. How can Dak Prescott have more completions to the other team than Jason Witten and Cole Beasley. How is that possible, Skip Bayless?
I thought this was a Kirk Cousins topic, but again, because he's losing yet another debate, he has to change the subject back to all he's got today.
Kirk Cousins gonna get that move. If Kirk Cousins was in Jacksonville or Denver, they would be a serious Super Bowl contender.
You know, they'd be.
Kirk Cousins is not the reason.
They would be forever disappointed by Kirk Cousins. That's what would happen.
You've been disappointed the last 24 years. Have you? Or have you not?
With what?
The Cowboys.
No mercy.
Patriots blew out the Raiders in Mexico City yesterday for their 6th straight win. Tom Brady threw 3 touchdown passes, including a 64-yarder to Brandon Cooks to blow the game open. Here's your random stat of the day. Brady became the first quarterback with a 300-yard passing game in 3 different countries. That's fun.
Dang.
Shannon, are the Patriots clearly the best team in the NFL?
No, they're not clearly the best team. Are they the best team? I would say the Vikings are in that discussion. The Eagles are in that discussion. I would lean a little towards the Patriots because of number 12. But are they head and shoulders above Philly? Are they head and shoulders above Minnesota? Absolutely not. So I would rank them slightly ahead of those 2 teams for the simple fact they have 12. But other than that, no. Philly has what you call a team that could give them problems because they have 2 big studs inside, Fletcher Cox and Tim Jernigan, that can get, push, and collapse the pocket, and they can force you to Graham and Barnett, and then they have a great rotational. Jim Schwartz do a great job of rotating those guys, keeping them fresh. The Minnesota Vikings can get after you. They got Xavier Rhodes, they got Harrison Smith, they got Barr, and then you go to that D-line with Linval Joseph, Everson Griffin, and Robinson. They're loaded, they're talented. They can cause you some problems. But I would give a slight nod to the Patriots because of Tom Brady. But are they head and shoulders above those 2 teams? Absolutely not.
To answer Joy's question, the New England Patriots are clearly the best team because they have far and away the best quarterback in the National Football League. And guess what? He's only 40 years old. He's still got like 5 more great years left.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Tom Brady should be running away with MVP at this point.
He's
but
not.
He's not because there's so much Brady hate.
Oh, stop
there's
it, Skip,
resentment,
baby.
there's jealousy. There's no way he's going to win MVP
What about
this year.
Carson Wentz just played? What about Carson Wentz with 25 touchdowns and 5 picks, Skip? What does that mean? Does that mean anything?
22-2 is Tom Brady.
Okay.
22 touchdowns.
What's his record? What's his record? What's his team record?
Wow.
What's his team record?
8-2.
Okay, what's Carson Wentz's team record?
9-1.
Okay, so what are we discussing again?
What did Carson Wentz look like in the first half to you last night? Did he look like the runaway MVP?
Hold on. When did the NFL games only go to half, Joey?
But in the second half, he looked okay. He threw for a grand total of 88 yards in the second half. He had a long handoff for a touchdown against a defense that you dismissed as trash, a defense that I have predicted, I've told you all along, it just gives up and gives in the second half without Sean Lee. So that's an MVP caliber performance.
Hold on, Skip.
I give no stop.
You just heaped praise and talked about Rod Marinelli. He's the star, and they're a top 5. They're a top 5 scoring defense. No. Let me finish, Skip. Let me say this. You talk about how they don't let you score, and they were top 5 scoring defense, and they yada yada yada. Now all of a sudden you don't like your defense that you knew you were going to have at the beginning of the season.
But I do love me some Tom Brady. And back to Tom Brady, you realize that his defense is still dead last in the NFL in yards allowed. Yards allowed. They still allow 402 yards a game.
But Skip,
they gave up 344 yesterday. Still won 33-8.
What about points? Where are they points allowed?
They have risen slowly but surely up to 13th, which is kind of middling, but much better than it used to be because they used to be at the bottom of the NFL. And yet, Tom Brady yesterday with a mere 89 yards rushing, so he didn't have a big run game to fall back on the way Carson Wentz did. In the second half, Carson Wentz had 180 yards rushing to lean on.
Kind of like Dak had the first 23 games. Okay, but go ahead.
Wow, interesting. So yesterday, Tom Brady goes 30 of 37 for 339 with a QBR of 96, which was by far the best QBR of the day or the weekend in the National Football League. Second was Kirk Cousins with 79. He should have gotten docked a little bit more for that intentional grounding, but still, he had a 79, which shows you he makes lots of plays, but not the play, right? So, for the year, all of a sudden, Tom Brady has risen slowly up the board in QBR from that disastrous opening night that I was the first to acknowledge. And all of a sudden, Deshaun still leads at 82. At some point, he's not going to qualify because he didn't play enough games.
Right.
But Case Keenum, by the way, is now at 75.4 in second place. And Tom Brady's right on his tail, 75.2. Here comes Tom Brady, and I think before it's over, he will win the QBR race.
If you don't mind me asking, can you tell me where Wentz is and where Dak is?
Right now, Tom Brady is at 75.2, and Wentz is next at 73.2. So Tom Brady has passed the quote-unquote MVP favorite. What does that tell you in QBR?
Hold on.
That would tell me that Tom Brady should be the QBR MVP.
Hold on. But those two guys also leapfrogged somebody else that was on your list that you'd like to mention.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
I thought this was a Tom Brady
Okay,
question.
I'm just asking.
I've told you. How many times do I have to tell you? He had a bad game last night.
No, I'm just asking about
He had a QBR of what, 11?
No, so where is he in
fifth.
record?
He's fifth. He's
Okay.
fallen all the way to fifth because he had an 11 last night.
Okay.
So he should be running away, Tom Brady, with MVP because he's winning in spite of his defense. He did not have Julian Edelman for the whole year, and now he doesn't have Chris Hogan. He's doing it with mirrors, and he might just be having his best year yet at age 40. That's incomprehensible to me. He is the reason New England will beat Pittsburgh. If they meet, they're going to meet again on December, 17th at Pittsburgh. But I say Tom Brady wins that game because he's lifetime 10-2 versus Pittsburgh. He's lifetime 5-2 at Pittsburgh. And he's having, arguably, his best year yet after a horrendous start.
But, Skip, if you look at what the Vikings did, they held the league's -- scoring offense, averaging over 33 points a game. They gave up 7 points on the first drive and shut them out. Am I surprised? That Minnesota won? No. Although I picked the Rams, I'm not surprised that they won, Skip. I'm surprised that with the ease they took them apart.
Okay, so I still say it's a quarterback's game, and this quarterback is just laying it on the whole league. There's nothing like him. He put on another masterpiece performance yesterday.
The Raiders,
okay? But he just toyed with them.
Where are the Raiders ranked defensively?
I don't know.
They're behind the Cowboys. Okay, so now if you're not gonna give other guys credit when they light up the Cowboys secondary, I don't think you should be heaping praise on Brady. Brady is great in and of itself, but don't make it seem like he beat the 75 Steelers. Don't make it seem like he threw against the 2000 Ravens, okay? Because he didn't.
Masterpiece. He's at it again.
Skip,
nobody's going to give him credit. I'm going to give him credit.
Skip, we're not
I'm just going off eye test. What did I see?
But what I don't understand,
he's flawless.
What I don't understand is when other guys play well, you minimize who they did it against. Now Tom Brady does it against the Raiders. And who thought the Raiders was going to have a defense? When have the Raiders had a defense?
I expected him to play well. I did not expect Tom Brady at Mexico City against the Raiders to just destroy them, and he just destroyed them.
Skip, hold on. You think going to another country changes who and what you are? The Raiders are what they are. No, it cannot. They're bad. They're a bad team.
Can level the playing field. Tough travel. They had to stay out and practice at Colorado Springs at Air Force Academy. It can be hard on
Skip, you make it seem like they was out camping. They had sleeping bags and tents.
Well,
they wasn't 4-8. This wasn't Cub Scouts. They were sleeping in a 5-star hotel.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah, I'm sure they were also. Probably the Broadmoor. That's probably where they stayed at.
What's your gut tell you right here, right now? Who's going to win it all? New England, again.
All I'm saying is that was not the question. The question was, are they head and shoulders above the others? I said no. I would have them maybe slightly head, if not even with Philly, because Philly's lost one game. But you have to give them a nod because they have number 12. But to think they're just like, oh, man, I mean, I don't even know why we're mentioning anybody else. No, I'm not going
in
there.
a Super Bowl game, if it comes to this, Wentz in a lifetime versus Tom Brady in 5 Super Bowls, who you got? You got Wentz?
Hold on.
You like it?
First of all,
you like him?
You don't have a team. The Cowboys. The Cowboys. You talk about the Cowboys.
I picked the Patriots to win it all.
No, but you picked I picked the Cowboys not to make the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah. And you picked
Joe, you want
Lee.
one of these? Joe, you want one of these black teams? I got these strawberry Rillos for you now. You want one of them?
I get to have one?
Yeah, I got. Hey, Skip, what you want? I got this honey.
I want nothing you have.
Hey, Skip, these are regs. But you might like these. See what else I got here. What you want, Skip? I got these.
Where do you go shopping for this?
I got these strawberry Rillos for Joy. Joy says she on them Rillos.
Those are Nick Swisher sweets.
No,
you realize that, right?
The mild with the wood tip, Skip. I got a little something for y'all. I drop you a little care package, y'all.
Yeah. Well, the Patriots host Miami on Sunday, so I think we can just assume that they'll.
Whoa. What about Jay? Did he? What about the
concussion?
14th?
Had a concussion. Out.
I mean, he knows that money went into that direct deposit.
Yeah.
That 13 mil.
Jay gets to partake in none of that.
Oh, he probably did before the game, the way he been playing.
No mercy.
We're joined now by FS1 analyst Eric Dickerson. But Eric, you may not want to watch this. Your Rams offense was shut down by the Vikings yesterday in a 24-7 loss. It was the first time the Rams have been held under 10 points this season. The Vikings have now won 6 straight. Sorry about that, Eric.
Hey, it's football. It happens.
It's football? It happens?
It happens. It happens. It happens.
What went wrong?
Well, you know, I got to give the Minnesota Vikings defense and Mike Zimmer a lot of credit. They played a great game. They really did. Playing in Minnesota is very difficult for a young quarterback, for any quarterback. And I got to say, Jared Goff did a fantastic job for what he had to work with. And when I say that is that it was so loud in that time that they were getting the playoff in with 2-3 seconds left. They had to call 2 timeouts in the first half because they couldn't hear. And when you can't get to the line of scrimmage, get your plays called, you got a problem. The defense shut the running game down. They did it. The first drive, they looked fantastic. But I had a feeling it was coming because all of a sudden you see the defense wait to the last minute to make those, go into the defense they're going to play. The last minute. For a young quarterback, that's tough in a loud environment. You can't hear. You know, I didn't see a lot of audibles because you see an audible 9 times out of 10, you can see the quarterback. He changes his tone.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a lot of that at all because you can't hear.
Right.
So I got to give the Minnesota Vikings credit for winning that football. That was just a loss, and you can't blame it on the defense. The defense didn't play great at times. The offense played okay, not great. But to me, the game changer in that football game was when Cooper Kupp fumbled that ball right before half. The score would have been 14-7 or 10-7. That's a big lead. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in the fourth quarter when they called roughing the passer on Aaron Donald. Now, he sacked Case Keenum, held him up, and then he basically shoved him. Now, look, we get shoved all the time, running backs, tight ends, receivers. But when you shove a quarterback, that's different. To me, that was just a terrible call. And the next play, I think 3 plays later, Adam Thielen, 65-yard touchdown, and you're not coming back from to a 14-point deficit. You know, not in Minnesota. It's not going to happen. So I think that's what happened to my team. But I'll still say this: we're still 7-3. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not concerned. The Vikings are a very good football team. They're good on both sides of the ball, especially defense. They have a true lockdown corner in Xavier Rose. Harrison Smith is a Pro Bowl, All-Pro player. And then those 2 D linemen, you got Griffin and Joseph. They can get after the quarterback. They're relentless. And as you say, ED, in that building, when they start, that horn starts going off. And when you go on the road, even with a veteran quarterback, you try to minimize the checks. You don't want to be getting in there because wide receivers are well, I thought you was doing this, I thought you were doing that. So you don't want to have a whole lot of checks, even if you have a veteran quarterback, let alone a young quarterback. But the thing is, Minnesota's going to be the reckon with, Skip, because they can run the ball with Murray, Case Keenum. And people get, Skip, in this winning streak, he has 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So it's not like he's, 10-1, or something like that. But they're getting big turnovers. They're getting costly turnovers. And to give up the opening drive for 7 points and then hold the team that leads the NFL in scoring to 0 from that point on, that lets you know they're to be reckoned with. But like ED said, I'm not overly concerned with the Rams. They still have a good football team. They're a young football team. They can learn from this on the road. It's not going to be it's not going to be an easy place to win. Somebody's going to have to go in there and have to deal with them in the playoff. Because I believe there's a great chance they're going to get one of those number 1 or 2 seeds also, Skip.
So, Joy, it was amusing to me that I looked back at last Thursday, and I'm sitting across from the 2 Hall of Famers. I heard 0 about crowd noise in Minnesota from either one of them, as they both predicted the Rams to win fairly convincingly.
I said close.
I said 20. I said
24-20. Come on now.
You had conviction.
I just had the wrong number. Come on now. You got to have conviction.
Yeah. And it's funny because both the Hall of Famers told me that I was crazy because Case Keenum is, quote unquote, just a backup. Didn't I hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a backup.
He played well. He still is.
And guess what? Case Keenum had a QBR. You know how much I love QBR. Of 77 yesterday, which was 3rd best in the whole National Football League. And he has now risen to 2nd in the whole National Football League in QBR to Deshaun Watson, who at some point
Going to fall off.
He's just going to fall off because he didn't have enough to qualify, enough games. But right now, Deshaun remains number 1, and Case Keenum is number 2 in QBR. I thought he played superbly yesterday against what you told me is a very good Rams defense, even on the road. The Rams were 4-0 on the road. 5, huh? 5-0 on the road?
London 5. That's what that was.
Oh, you're taking that one.
That was a road game, too.
All right, I'll give you that one. Okay, so they were 5-0 on the road.
Okay.
And they go to Minnesota, and you were pretty confident about what was going to happen. And Case Keenum just ate you up and spat you out because, he had a QBR 77. Jared Goff had 52 QBR, but he's a young quarterback in a loud environment. I give you all that. But Minnesota, thanks to converting 7 of 14 on third down, just dominated the football. They had it for 37 minutes. Your guys just didn't really have the football very much.
23 minutes, right.
And they tried Todd Gurley early on and just finally said, we just can't do that anymore because Todd Gurley winds up with 15 rushes for 37 yards. Todd Gurley, you have a total of 45 yards rushing, and Minnesota just ran it right down your throat with 171. Woo! Those are bad signs.
I agree with everything you said, especially third down conversion. I think we were 3 of 11.
3 of 11.
When we went into that game, we were 46% on third down. So I think we were the best in the National Football League at one point on third down. When you go into, like I said, a hostile environment, young team, can't hear, everything has to go right. It didn't go right yesterday. I mean, our defense got wore down. Latavius Murray looked like me out there running football. I got to say.
He did.
I mean, that offensive line did a great job of protecting Case. Case did a great job of evading the sack.
Did.
I mean, it was one play. He just threw up in the middle of the field.
To Thielen.
Yep. And, I mean, that was a big play. It
was a big play.
It was a big play. But our defense did hold them at that point.
Right.
But after a while, we're not scoring. We're not moving the football. Our defense on the field for a long time. Something's got to give.
But I'm going to say it again. I'm not saying Case Keenum's a top 5 NFL quarterback, but I've always liked his guts and his nerve and his verve and his spirit and his playmaking and just his body language. He's not afraid. Yeah. Is he great? He's probably, 6 feet tall, 6'1", maybe, undrafted out of University of Houston?
Houston, right.
Yeah.
But it shows again how bad our offense last year was with Jeff Fisher. It shows again, there's another guy, goes to another team.
Those two guys.
Just getting better and better. But, like I said, I talked to Leroy Irvin yesterday. You know what he said? He said, man, sometimes you just lose them. I say, right. Some games, you just get beat. They got beat. No excuses. It is what it is. You line up next week and play New Orleans and get ready to win at home.
That's the thing.
They got dominated.
When you go on,
y'all got dominated now.
When you go on the road,
we were injured,
and the crowd is going to be into it. You need to be able to run the football, take some of that crowd noise out. You gotta hush them up, and they were unable to. They did it for the first drive, but they were unable to sustain that. But give the Vikes credit now. You make it seem like the Vikings are Browns or something. They're a damn good football team. You don't want none of the Vikings, that's for sure.
Who's me?
Skip might run
the Cowboys.
You mean New England?
The Cowboys. No. Cowboys, your team. Come on. You like Brady. You like Brady. You're not particularly.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly.
He would have fun against the Minnesota defense.
Well, we might.
Maybe we'd see
we
that.
might get. I don't know.
I doubt that.
At home now, you know that'll be at home. You know Super Bowl's in Minnesota.
I know. I think he would have fun against that defense even up there.
Okay.
Yep.
We might get a chance to see
that.
6 Super Bowls? Wow.
I'll say one more thing. I got to get this in one more time. So you really think you can beat me in basketball?
We'll do this later.
I'm going to set it up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joy.
You got to raise Shannon first.
Oh, I want Shannon. No doubt, Shannon. Shannon.
Let it go, bro.
Come on. Don't let these 2 numbers fool you. Don't let these 2 numbers fool you.
I ain't going to let 6-0 fool me.
I'm not 60, but I'll take that.
So I'm going to say this one more time.
Okay.
So I'll just keep it to you.
Okay.
So you told me your team would beat Seattle, and I said, nope, big brother, little brother, and he was right about that.
Okay, you're right.
And then I said, Minnesota, nope, you can't do that. Your quarterback's too young, they're too good, and he was right about that.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about football. I'm not in the Hall of Fame, but here we go again.
Hey. But you
How do
know,
you explain it?
but you still owe me some Mountain Dews because you lost. Y'all wouldn't make it y'all wouldn't win the division. And what was the other one? You wouldn't win the division. You lost 2. I know that.
Hey, guess what? You notice he kept it to me? Because last year, you wrong.
And you wouldn't beat Philly twice.
Every Monday we come out here, Joy.
You're wrong.
I just got one thing to say. How about them Cowboys? I hadn't heard that in a long time.
You're not going to hear it until next year.
Well, we got that on
next
video,
year.
so that might get some playback.
Okay.
That was a mistake.
Eagles.
No mercy.
The Broncos lost at home to the Bengals yesterday. It was Denver's 6th straight loss. This came 2 days after John Elway said his team was, quote, a little bit soft. After the loss, a number of Broncos players, including Chris Harris Jr. and Brandon Marshall, said they were bothered by the comments, but Von Miller said, quote, he's telling the truth. The Broncos are now 3-7, and today they reportedly fired offensive coordinator Mike McCoy. We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez. Morning, Tony. Welcome.
Good morning, guys. Was that Vontaze Burfict giving
I wish he'd done that to my quarterback when I was playing. See, it'd have been a fight.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
If Burfict went up to him and said what?
Pat him on the head like that.
Good job. The irony, is there a little irony? I don't know, it's funny. That's funny.
Ain't no irony with that.
Do you like Elway calling out the team, Shannon?
No, I don't. He's an executive, and I get that he played. But if you got something to say, you say it to your coaches. You go in front of the team in the team meeting and say you don't like what you're seeing. He's there. He watches practice every day. He watches every single game. But just because you're not a player, you're not a coach now, so you don't get that luxury of sitting up high and shouting down, this team is soft down low. This is what we know. This was a top 3 defense that Vance Joseph inherited. Kubiak offense was antiquated. They didn't want Kubiak. He couldn't do this. He couldn't do that. So now you got a top 3 defense with 2 all-pro corners. Darren Stewart went to the Pro Bowl. Wolf is a good player. You got defensive year in the running every year player in Von Miller. You got 2 very, very good wide receivers. And now you got this. So instead of talking about soft, maybe John got to do some self-evaluating. Who put this soft team together?
Good question. Who picked the quarterbacks for this team? Okay.
Now, if one of the players say, hey, our quarterback is holding us back. Now he gonna be upset. I'm gonna be upset with my general managers talking about we soft because you put it together. We didn't put it together. They didn't let me pick because if I'd have picked me another quarterback.
Yep.
Might have probably got me a couple of better offensive linemen while I was at it. So, slow down. Slow down.
This is my turn, right?
Yep.
It's so funny because when you're losing, this is what goes on. I mean, you're looking for answers. You're looking for, okay, well, maybe it's because we're starting practice too early. Maybe it's because we're starting too late. Maybe it's because we didn't do this in the offseason. Maybe it's because we're thinking about last year and the year before we won a Super Bowl and we're not focused. Whatever it is, maybe it's because we're soft. I've heard that so many times. And take it from somebody who's been on some losing teams here, Skip, and you know this too. I've been on those teams, and I ask those same questions. Where I'm sitting in the locker room talking to my coach or other players on the team, and I'm like, do you think we're soft because the coach is calling us soft or the media is calling us soft? And I know I'm not soft. I know that. And so for the guys who take offense to that, maybe you are soft. But like Von Miller, he knows he's not soft, so he don't mind it. You can call us soft, but I know this other guy, maybe he is. Maybe that corner is. Maybe they aren't putting everything they have into it.
Well, I tell you what, how about this? A lot of this could have been remedied if you had a quarterback.
If you had a quarterback.
Give me a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Because that's what you had with Peyton. Peyton was not the Peyton Manning that we knew and loved from Indy in his first 3 years in Denver. He was not that first 2 years in Denver. He was not that guy, but he was competent. So give me that.
He's a leader.
Give me that.
He's a leader. Brock Osweiler's not. He's not the guy. He's showing that he hasn't been that guy.
So if John Elway made these remarks on Friday night to motivate or inspire or incite, especially his defensive side of the football yesterday, it did not work.
No.
And Vance Joseph used John's remarks of Friday night in his pregame speech yesterday to the team to try to fire it back up. I was waiting for one of those defensive veterans to have the courage to stand up in front of the media after the game and say, nope, we're not soft. We've just lost heart because we don't have a quarterback.
Right.
Because I believe that's the bottom line to what happened to the Denver Broncos. That is still a really good defense. But after a while, as you well know, when the offense just can't score or keeps turning it over, after a while you just say, we don't have a chance. Right. We can't overcome it. We could be the greatest defense ever, and we can't overcome the other side of the ball. It's just ineptitude because you have 3 quarterbacks and you have none. One can't get healthy, Paxton Lynch now. But when we've seen flashes of him, I'm not sure he can play.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I played 14 years, you played 17. There's not a general manager alive or dead that can say anything to motivate Shannon Sharpe. I don't care how many games he played. My coach and my teammates can get me fired up. Him saying me, that don't do nothing for me. That's supposed to move my needle?
No, not you, because you're a Hall of Famer, but maybe that'll work for somebody else.
I wasn't always a Hall of Famer.
Yes, you were.
No, I worked my way up from starting on special teams and played a little bit of offense and worked my way. Skip, how does somebody that's up in the front office tell me I'm soft?
I don't know. I mean, he did play at a high level.
I get on it.
No, okay.
Is he playing now?
Nope.
He's doing whatever he can do at this point.
Well,
the season is slipping away. He's doing whatever.
The season gone. First of all, here's the thing, Skip. You and I both know if the quarterback is what you think he is $16 million too much to pay him? Hell no. They let Brock Osweiler walk.
They did.
Now they take him back for $775 because Cleveland is paying $15.2 million. So you didn't think he was good enough at $16 million, but you think he's good enough at $775.
And the bottom line that is so pathetic is that now John Elway has scapegoated and fired the offensive coordinator, Mike McCoy, who's a pretty respected offensive mind, who did a first term in Denver as the offensive coordinator, remember?
Did a hell of a job.
He did a hell of a job. He got Tim Tebow going, right? They won the division.
And what about, think about this. Look at the numbers Phillip Rivers put up when he got a competent quarterback. You can do all this.
He was the head coach in San Diego for 4 years.
You can look here. You can do all this you want to. This is what is fact. You had a top 3 defense. You had a nice running game, not great, but you have 2 very, very good receivers.
You do.
And Gary Kubiak couldn't get it done. The year after he went to the Super Bowl, it was Gary Kubiak. Now, hey, you got Brock Osweiler, you got Trevor Simmons, you got Paxton Lynch. At some point in time, instead of talking about the players soft, we got to do some self-evaluating. Because at the end of the day, when things weren't playing well and I was on the team, I had to look at Shannon Sharpe in the mirror. Okay, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? All that other talking about going on outside, I don't need to hear I ain't trying to hear all that. What do I need to do? Because at the end of the day, I'm looking back, hey, I know what gave me the most comfort was knowing that I had 7 under center. I didn't feel I had to play out of my way in order for us to win. We got other guys in there. You start to feel that I got to do more. Defensively, if we don't get a pick 6, you got to take chances. If I don't get a pick 6, I don't get a scoop and score. Now you take unnecessary risk because you got to realize if your team is challenged to score the ball, you can't take those risks because the likelihood of you being able to make them up is not very good.
So usually Mr. Gonzalez here would be reveling in your misery in Denver, but he's got his own misery in Kansas City in this whole division. I thought it was going to be the AFC best, and now it's the AFC worst.
Mess.
Right?
It's a mess.
It's like it hasn't even started yet. I'm not sure who's going to come out of the pack and win it because I'm not sure this division deserves a single playoff team, even though somebody's going to get in.
Well, Alex Smith, Eli Manning, one of those guys is going to probably be in Kirk. Well, if they can pony up the money, $100 million to get Kirk Cousins, because with that defense. But here's the thing: how do you pay $100 million to Kirk Cousins? You got to have to let some of that defense go. You got to let some of you.
Building a team's got to be a pretty hard thing to do.
Hold on, what the hell you signed? Hold on,
John Elway.
Hold on, time out, Skip. You mean to tell me I go to school, one of these fancy schools, get an architect degree, and then I complain about how hard it is to build a bridge or a house? What the hell you signed up for? He signed up to be general manager.
But I think he understands it. He's seeing it now firsthand that you got to have a quarterback in this league.
Well,
and he's grasping for answers. Like I said, I've been there a lot. You're looking at every little angle. And why are we not good? Why are we not winning games?
Hold on. We heap praise on him. When they won 5 straight division titles, when they got this with Tebow, and they get Peyton Manning, and they go in 12-4, and they go in 13-3, we heap in praise. And now we want to talk about the team soft. Oh, okay.
And who knocked on his door post Tim Tebow? Peyton Manning just knocked on the door and said, "Hey, can I play for you guys?"
Yeah,
that'll work.
Yeah, I just don't. I love John, but I just wish he hadn't said this. This was so far out of bounds. I know he's the general manager. I know he's an MVP. He's won Super Bowl. He's a Hall of Famer. But he's a general manager now. And he needs to do general manager and say general managerial things.
Well, the rookie head coach said he took it personally and found it offensive that John Elway had accused the team of being soft.
Yeah.
And yet, is he not starting to get on a rookie coach hot seat here?
Yeah.
Like,
You think about what he inherited, Skip.
I know.
2 all-pro corners, a guy that finished second in the defensive player of the year running. Darian Stewart is a Pro Bowl safety. And you got those 2 good, both of those receivers have been to Pro Bowls. Both of them over 1,000 yards the last couple of years. So it's not like you at the bottom of the heap. He didn't inherit the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry.
They did let T.J. Ward go, and I thought that was a mistake because when I rooted against the Broncos, I feared him, and I thought he was a veteran presence that they are missing.
You can have all that you want, but if you don't have that competent guy that's under center, taking those 65 to 70 reps every Sunday, you're wasting your time.
Like I said, if I'm on this team, I'm not getting offended. I know you're not.
Well, you've been on them soft teams, you've been on them soft teams, so you good with it. They've been soft, though, Skip. We knew they were soft.
He taking it personally.
All that
But
whooping.
Tony's the one that pulls Alonzo, too. He lets
Exactly. Oh, ain't nobody gonna fight, so I wasn't going over there. We in that foxhole. The fox might not bite me, but you better be in there beside me just in case he do.
Smoking black and mild in your red cups, man.
Don't worry about what I got.
This is on John Elway. They don't have a quarterback. It's that who does the hiring and the firing.
Yeah. Who job is it to go get that quarterback, Skip?
Well,
you shopping for the grocery. You cooking the meals, so go on and do that.
soft is fighting words, Tony.
Is it?
Yes. You're not calling me soft.
First of all,
not me. I know he ain't talking to me. That's the thing. I know he's not talking to me.
He served. He got on the little beads around his neck and all the bracelets on his wrist. So they said him sorry.
Come to Huntington Beach. Come to Huntington Beach. See what happens.
Nothing.
UFC captain.
Nothing gonna happen. Nothing. They like you out there soft. Ain't nothing gonna happen, George.
I would love to see him on a surfboard. I bet he wouldn't last 2 minutes out there.
No, I ain't no surfer. I do hard stuff. Like knuckle up if I have to.
Like flywheel?
Yeah, you know, like knuckle up if I have to.
His little tights.
Tony,
he gets on that little bike.
Thanks for joining.
Oh, you surfing.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports. One of one.